In this video, we will apply the best definition of love to your most important relationship. So let's begin now. Hi, my name is Chip Awalt with Divine Answers. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I would greatly appreciate it if you would click on the subscribe button below. And if you've not seen my first YouTube video on the best definition of love, it would be helpful for you to go back and see that to help you understand what is being said here. Now, before we go on, I want to say that this video may touch on some sensitive areas of your life or some past experiences you may have had. Know that I have gone through some of those same experiences. It's not my intention to drag up some painful memories or to point fingers. I just want to help you learn how to love better. Let's start by giving the definition again. Love is wanting, learning, and doing what is best for the other person at all times. Here, we will apply the definition of love to the one person in your life that is the one. Whether that person is the person you're married to, engaged to, dating, or even if you're still looking for that one special person. We will begin by making a correlation between the emotional aspect of us as human beings and the foundational wanting part of the definition. This connection should help us understand how the definition applies to a very important aspect of human love. But this connection is not necessarily a perfect one-to-one correlation. Some of the other aspects of us as human beings, besides the emotional, are the physical, spiritual, and intellectual, along with the free will to decide, to choose good and evil. It's important for us to understand that the different facets of function as a unified whole. Each facet works with and is dependent upon the others to achieve a harmony and balance, both within us and with other human beings. It is a similar thing with the definition. Each part builds on the previous part, but it is also an interdependent, unified whole. And just as you cannot remove or overemphasize one part of the definition without doing damage to love, you cannot remove or overemphasize aspects of our humanity without also doing damage to love. So let's explore the connection between emotion and wanting. What I am about to say might shock you. It is not necessary to feel any emotion for another person in order to want, learn, and do what is best for them at all times. You can love another human being and do tremendous acts of love for them without having any emotional connection at all. By saying this, I'm not discounting the awesome power that emotion can have in motivating us to learn and do what is best for the other person. I am saying that it's not an absolute necessity. In the example I'm about to give, you'll be able to see that this can be true even throughout the process of getting married. If you've ever seen The Sounds of Music, you know that in the Hollywood version of the story, Maria falls madly in love with Georg and he with her, and then they get married. The real life beginning of their relationship is a much different story. Maria von Trapp conveyed this in her autobiography. I really and truly was not in love. I liked him, but I didn't love him. However, over time, I learned to love him more than I have ever loved before or after. Did you catch that? The real life Maria von Trapp did not have the emotional in-love feeling depicted by Hollywood. It was the spiritual direction of her mother superior, who told her that she should marry Georg for the sake of the children. She wasn't happy about it, but she believed it was God's will for her life. I provided a link below to an interview where she speaks of this. So she became the mother of those children, the mother they needed, and the wife that Georg von Trapp needed. She did this without the in-love feeling, and yet the like she had for him grew into a deep, penetrating love. Notice also that she didn't say that she eventually fell in love with him, but that she learned to love him deeply. Even today, there are many Maria von Trapp stories. There are cultures around the world, and here in the United States, among the Amish, for example, where marriages are arranged traditionally by the families. And even though the in-love feeling is not present for the couples on the wedding day, they report that they learn to truly love each other. Some even credit the fact that their marriage was arranged as the reason why they love each other so much. Now, I'm not taking a position on this. I just wanted to highlight that the Maria von Trapp story is not the only one. Now, let's talk about relationships where there's a healthy understanding of how to live the definition of love, even if you don't know the definition. The in-love feeling can be the foundation to a deeply rooted love, but ordinarily, the in-love feeling gives way to a much deeper form of love, one in which the other person becomes a part of you. Now, for a special few, the in-love feeling seems to never end. This is because their lifelong focus has been on putting each other first, and all other endeavors, like their careers, for example, are put into service of what is best for the relationship. They truly wanted, learned, and did what was best for each other at all times. It has been my experience that these awesome few do almost everything together and very rarely go anywhere without each other. Now, let's test a couple of the things I said at the beginning of this video. Let's test to see if the correlation between the in-love feeling and wanting part of the definition is a precise one-to-one relationship. As we just discussed, it can be. But does it hold true in all situations? Let's also test what I said about how removing or overemphasizing one aspect of the definition does damage to love by replacing the wanting part of the definition with the phrase, an intense emotional feeling. The definition now is, love is an intense emotional feeling that drives one to learn and do what is best for the other person at all times. As I said, this definition can work, as we have seen, for those few who can truly live this. However, the more common human experience has had a much different outcome. For the sake of simplicity, I will talk about this intense emotional feeling as being in love, or the feeling of being loved, or whatever. You get the idea. For many of us, wanting what is best for the other person is not the foundation of love, but this in-love feeling is. A common belief goes like this: I am in love, and as long as I am loved, I'm going to work hard and learn and do what is best for the other person. I will make tremendous sacrifices and do the difficult things that need to be done. We may think we are doing this sincerely, but if we dig down a little deeper, the real reason we do this is to try and maintain that in-love feeling. The problem with this is that it's tough to maintain that feeling of being in love over a long period of time. What happens when that in-love feeling fades, as it almost always does? Do you stay in the relationship hoping to recapture that in-love feeling again? I'm sure you can see and have experienced that there can be some problems with that. What happens when you look to others to fill the now empty void while you are still in relationship with this person? That can be a big problem. How about if the other person truly loves you or is still in love with you and you are looking for love in other places? That can be a devastating, lifelong problem for all involved. Many of us have been in these situations, and it is rarely a positive experience. If you look at this closer, you'll see that loving the other person somehow has to do with how that individual makes us feel. It's not wanting, learning, or doing what is best for the other person at all times. Ultimately, it is wanting and doing what is best for the other person as long as the other person makes me feel like I am in love, which means there was never actually true love in the first place. Because true love is others centered, not self centered, and real love never ends. The sacrifices, the learning and doing were genuine while we had the in love feeling, but now even small sacrifices seem like torture. The whole relationship was built on fulfilling our own emotional wants and needs. It is this kind of self centeredness that has done a great deal of damage in our lives and in our culture. An all too common example, which most of us are familiar with, goes like this: two people meet, fall in love, get married, and have children. After about 4 to 7 years, one or both of them decides they are no longer in love, or they have grown apart, and they get divorced. Since the in love feeling was the foundation of their relationship, now that that feeling is gone, there's nothing left. This is a sad situation on many fronts. Since love is at the core of what it means to be human, the failure of this relationship represents a failure of the individuals themselves to grow as human beings. In addition, since mom and dad loving each other is the primary way that children learn to love, the lessons they learn from the divorce increases the likelihood that they will end up in divorce. Children need and deserve their mom and dad together in a truly loving, lifelong relationship. While there are many shining examples of children who are victims of divorce doing great things with their lives, study after study shows that in almost every category, children of divorce in general do not do nearly as well as children living in stable, loving, intact families. So, as we have seen, in and of itself, there is nothing wrong with that in love feeling. The problems arise when we say that this emotional high is love and ignore the rest of the things necessary for true love. When we don't use those intense emotions and plug them into the learning and doing what is best for the other person at all times, it becomes a recipe for heartache and pain for all involved. So where is God in all of this? Whether you realize it or not, God is the most important person in your life. Your relationship with Him will be the key in learning how to love the one. If you reflect on your attitudes and beliefs about love and discover that the thing that defines your relationship is how the other person makes you feel, and you want to change, then God is waiting and wanting to hear from you. He wants to teach you how to love in a more authentic way. He wants to teach you how much He loves you. And He wants to help you to love as He loves. At this point, I want to pause and let you know that this is a lifelong process. We have formed many bad habits, and in order to change, we need to keep asking Him for help and doing our part by choosing to change our bad habits to good ones, one at a time. Now, if you are at the point in your life where you're meeting different people and seeking a relationship, bring the definition of love into the conversations you have. In this way, at the very least, you may hear other points of view that can help you understand how their viewpoint stands up against the definition. It could also help you discover if that person has an agenda other than love, one where he seeks to use you. Or maybe discussing the definition of love will lead you into a deep conversation about love, about true love, and teach you a great deal about that individual and yourself. The same can be true if you're already dating someone, or even more so if you're engaged. The difference being that you'll already know the person and have had some experiences that can help you determine if this person can truly love you in the way you deserve. It may save you a great deal of heartache, or it may bring that relationship to a new level of understanding of what it will take for it to be a love that truly satisfies the soul. So, if you are in a relationship with someone who may be the one, but you're not yet married, ask God to teach you how to love that person better, and ask the other person to do the same. Now, for those of you who are already married, something to understand is that God is love, and therefore the ultimate source of all love. In light of this, here is something for you to seriously think about if you want to love your spouse with the love of God. You need to love the one who gave you the gift of your beloved spouse above all things, including your beloved spouse. In loving the source of love, He will infuse you with a love that's far above any natural love. He will instill in you His love as much as you are able to receive. And this gift of Himself will enable you to love your beloved here on earth more than you ever thought possible. This gift of His love is meant for each of you, but also for you as a couple, loving Him together forever. If you haven't done so already, please watch my video on the best definition of love. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, now's the time.